Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I want to talk about this cool quadded leg build that I have, and it seems like my character is pretty excited to share it with you guys as well. But the playstyle of quad legs, if you don't know, is basically just floating extremely high up in the air and then staying there to just be out of range of enemy attacks and have them just do terrible damage to you, while you just get a free reign of just shooting your long range weapons and a bunch of bombs from up above. Now, the legs of which I'm going to go with is the Varils. Honestly, the VP 424s are just as fine. I just went with these because I have a bit more load limit, so I can just put on some heavier stuff. For the weapons though, as I was saying, we just need long range weapons and some big bombs. So my weapon of choice is end up going to be the linear rifle Harris. Now, linear rifles are actually pretty good because obviously they have that very nice range, and they're kinetic weapons that can be fully charged. Now, if you did have a problem with using a single fire weapon and you want to just hold onto the trigger to do full auto, then just using an assault rifle is still perfectly fine. I just prefer the linear rifles with longer range because obviously they do have that more range and they just do have more direct hit adjustment as well. But the reason I went to the Harris over something like the Curtis is because it just has more DPS. It does more than twice as much damage, but the rate of fire is like less than half the amount. So it's just going to be the better option in my opinion. As for in our left hand, we are going to have the Napalm Bomb Launcher Cure. Now, this is like a short-range little grenade attack that leaves a very cool pool of fire on the ground. Now, the damage itself is actually very comparable to like another grenade launcher. Obviously, the blast radius and impact is not going to be as high, but that fire effect that you leave on the ground obviously is going to make it do more damage over time, and it actually has that cool status effect of that fire effect. It actually does decrease enemies' stability to just make them get staggered even quicker, which is going to be very nice. Now, the downside to this is that it's going to be hard to hit enemies mid-air. But if you're just going to be above them floating from the top, you're just going to drop these bombs on top of them. And obviously it's going to be very nice in that regard. And for only a 2-second reload time, you can't really go wrong. Now, in our back weapons, we're going to have the Stun Needle Launcher, the 60 SNA. This is probably just like the best weapon in the entire game. It's just like amazing. You just benefit with it in every single build because it's extremely quick. It has just ridiculously high direct hit damage. So after you get the stagger, you just use this bad boy. It will just hit them like multiple times because it has that little AoE effect that it does get, which is amazing. And that AoE is actually going to be a shock attack, and shock just makes them take even more damage if you actually end up proccing that status effect itself. And it still gets good regular damage and good impact on top of that. Now, in our other shoulder weapon, we're going to have the Songbirds, which every single build is always had like the Songbirds and the Needle Launcher because it is extremely good. The Songbirds is like a very light for a grenade cannon, is extremely quick, and obviously look at the stats right here. Insane damage and impact, and only for like a 6-second reload, it is very, very good. And that blast radius is just ridiculous as well. So it's just like going to be much better than just using missiles because with how fast these things actually do end up coming out, and you're going to be up from above, you're just going to shoot it down from below, it would hit enemies like more times than not. That is honestly insane. Now you will notice for some of the gameplay that you see later in the video that I actually was using this Spread Berserker, the Morley. Now it's actually a pretty decent way to just do direct damage, however it has that weird shotgun effect, so it's not going to be really good at range, and we're going to be at a long distance, so that's the reason behind that. And now I'm actually switching to the needle launcher. I just want to do something different, but you just can't use anything different because it's just amazing. If you did want to PvP with this build, unfortunately the linear rifle and the napalm bomb launcher aren't going to be the most viable things because people too tend to just like jump around and just move very quickly in the PvP, so you're not going to really hit much with those things. So I just recommend just going with a Gatling gun, much more consistent. You can just go at close range, will be perfectly fine. And in your offhands, I like to use something like the Aperitif. Now, this weapon, I think you can only get it in New Game Plus. I'm not too sure exactly. I forgot where I got it from, but I know I remember to get it in New Game Plus. But how it works is like kind of like a very cool tracking missile launcher that you actually can use while walking around and shooting your other weapons. It is actually very good. You probably could just go with a bazooka if you didn't have that, or probably just something like another Gatling gun. In your offhand, you could just deal with those. It would work perfectly fine, but this is more of a PvE-based build, but it can still work perfectly fine in both. Now, getting into the armor, my head just basically always go into this defenses. Don't worry about your system recovery. Scan distance and scan effect doesn't really matter as much. Definitely defenses is way more important. Your core, I went with the VP40S. There's more defenses once again. Your booster, generator, and generator supply definitely going to be very handy, especially with this type of build because you're going to be floating in the air, consuming a lot of energy while gliding. So definitely going to have some more efficiency in that regard. As for your arms, once again, just more defenses. Obviously, try not to go too low in terms of your firearm specialization because you're going to be at a longer distance. You do want to have some type of like aim assist or some type of like non-weapon sway with this type of build. As for the legs, we already talked about that. The booster, I went with this bad boy right here. Don't care to say the entire name, but the reason being is because we have maxed out our thrust. Now, thrust is basically going to be how fast our boost actually does move, and then being that we're constantly going to have our boost active when floating in the air, that's basically going to be our strafing speed. So we can just strafe faster with these bad boys right here, which is going to be nice because we can be able to dodge more attacks. It actually has a very nice quick boost reload time, so we can just quick boost from side to side, although that is going to consume a decent amount of energy. As for our FCS, we're just going to have some long range and medium range assist because we're just going to be at that distance itself. And as for the generator, I went with this one because this build is actually very energy expensive, so I need to have something with a high energy output. And as for the expansion, I just went with the pulse armor. You can use terminal armor. Either one is still perfectly fine. Okay, we're just going to have a quick little arena battle against our S1 mercenary guy. So basically how this build is going to be working is that we just float up to the top, we coop up here and just keep spamming our linear rifle. When he falls down to the ground, we'll just hit him with our bombs. And then when you end up getting this dagger, then we hit him with our needle launcher. That'll just do a whole bunch of direct damage. And then it's pretty much the GG from here. We just keep spamming, keep staying away from him, keep strafing away, and then just keep shooting our stuff in between. And yeah, he's pretty much just dead. Yeah, it's GG. You just sit up top and then spam all your buttons and just hopefully you just win. And most of the time you will. Look how much damage it took. Barely anything. But yeah, that pretty much concludes it for this one. The rest of the video will just be some more gameplay for both PvE and PvP based stuff. And yeah, see you next one, guys. Bye.